Hey, Cargo Bike Lifers. Let's have a conversation today about saving bikes from scrap yards and also about electric bikes and electric vehicles in general. You see, I've been working on the old Trek back there. I got the frame all cleaned and the fork cleaned, and I got it all polished up, shining up real nice. I would be further along, but I got to go over to the shop and see if I got some parts that I need. Some of the parts that run it were pretty rusty, so it's got to have some new parts. If I don't have them, then I have to order them, which will take a little longer. But last year, I was out in the back parking lot of where I live, and there was a man had a Schwinn. It was probably a Walmart Schwinn in the back of his truck, and I asked him what he was doing with it, and he said he was taking it to the scrap yard. He had various other scrap things back there, like air conditioners and crap like that. And at that time, scrap wasn't that high. He might have got, for the weight of that bicycle, he might have got $5, maybe 10 at the most, if that. So I didn't want to see that bike because there was nothing wrong with it. It was a perfectly usable bike, and even though it's a Walmart bike, I asked him. I said, "Why don't you let me buy that bike from you?" I figured, $5 or $10, but he wanted 30. Well, I gave it to him. I gave him the $30 because even at Walmart, that bike would have been over $100. I guarantee it. It had a shock fork on the front, nothing special. But I kept one bike out of the scrapyard. So when you see guys with trucks and they got a bunch of scrap material back there, metal scrap, and you see some bikes in there, maybe you could have a conversation with them and keep those bikes if they're worth being kept out of the scrapyard, landfill, or whatever. I mean, yeah, the material's still being recycled, but I'd rather see a bike get saved, put a little work and time into it, fix it up, and, if you pay $10 for it and there ain't nothing wrong with it, you can afford to just give it away to, a kid or an adult that might need transportation. We need to stop bikes from going into scrap yards, and they don't need to be thrown away. I mean, look at the mess we're in with these supply chain issues. We need to salvage what we can. I mean, even if you paid $10 for that bike, and let's say the derailleurs were good, $10, even at $30, a couple derailleurs, a couple shifters, a couple wheels, maybe the tires are good. I just want you to think about stuff like that because we need to do better as a nation. America is not a bicycle nation. America is a car nation, which sickens me. I recently just got a job right down the street from where I live so that I can intentionally walk there, and I do. It's like 10 minutes to walk there and 10 minutes when I'm done and I come home. That way I'm using less gasoline. Yes, I do own a vehicle and I do DoorDash. So I'm out there, burning up fossil fuel, which disgusts me. I don't want to do it anymore. But the money that these people pay for full-time jobs it does not equivocate to having a good life, to having enough money to pay all your bills. So I'm doing what I can right now. I'm working there part-time and I'm DoorDashing part-time, and the part-time job helps offset the amount of DoorDashing I would normally do. So in that part it's good, and then we get to the whole electric vehicle conversation with e-bikes and electric cars. And I'm not against e-bikes. I think e-bikes are awesome. But the problem with all these electric vehicles is the battery technology, these lithium-ion batteries. And I could be wrong about this, but from what I've read, when a lithium-ion battery is at the end of its serviceable life, it cannot be recycled. It becomes hazardous waste. It could be recycled, but the cost of recycling the material is so high that it makes it not worth it. And I had a conversation last year with a young man who was going to college for environmental engineering, and I was talking to him about this battery technology, and he said, and I wish I could remember the name of the battery that he told me, but he said there's another battery technology where the batteries last 20 years, and at the end of their life, they can be recycled 100% at very little cost. He said the reason that they won't introduce this technology is because if someone buys a battery that lasts 20 years, once everybody's bought enough batteries, well, then you don't have any more profit. And we all know that all companies are all about profits. Profit over people, profit over the environment. And we got to stop that. Not just the United States, but the whole world has got to stop that. We are in a mess environmentally. What a mess. What a freaking, oh my God, I can't even begin to, that's a whole nother conversation, but I can't even begin to tell you how much the environmental mess that we've made of our world just disgusts me. I just hate it. It makes me so angry. And it's not going to be, I mean, it is affecting me. It's affecting all of us right now. You see these superstorms that we've had, you know, look at Kentucky. They got devastated by a huge tornado that went like, I think the thing went like 200 miles and just completely destroyed towns. It's only going to get worse. You can't tell me that mankind driving around all these vehicles, putting all these emissions there, has no effect on our planet. That's complete bullshit. We have, I mean, when we want to build a shopping mall and there's a forest there, we don't go in there and count the number of animals that live there. We just plow it down with no regard for their life, like they don't even matter. They do matter. All life on this planet matters. It's called an ecosystem for a reason. Everything depends on something else. And we're just destroying that. And they think the answer is electric vehicles. But let me ask you something. The infrastructure for our electrical network here in America, is it strong enough? If everybody, let's say in 10 years, everybody had electric vehicles and there was like very few gasoline vehicles, or maybe they were just gone altogether. Do you really think our electrical infrastructure could handle everybody charging their cars every night, all the time? I don't think it can. I think our infrastructure here is just too messed up. We're way behind on electrical infrastructure in this country. And everybody, you see commercials on TV and they're like, well, you won't have to worry about the high cost of gasoline once you get an electric vehicle. Okay, that's true. Gasoline will be obsolete eventually. But what's going to get more expensive? Electricity, because everybody's needing it. Supply and demand. If there's more of a demand for it, the cost is going to go up. And like e-bikes, man, they're great. But we got to get away from this lithium ion batteries. I mean, it's a problem. We need to figure it out, and we need to do it soon. I mean, think about, you know, I have children. I have 3 sons. So think about those, you know, not only your children, but their children that are going to come after. What are we going to leave them with? A giant cesspool of filth? Hazardous waste everywhere? We've got to do better. You know, I'm all for just regular bikes where everybody pedals and it gives health benefits as well as no emissions and no hazardous waste. I'm all about that. I'm trying to get my life to a point of zero consumption of fossil fuels. I would love that. The only reason we even own a car anymore, the car we had took a crap on us, and I had enough cash to buy my girlfriend an e-bike, but she works, I think it's only about 4 miles from here. But for her, with her crippling arthritis, and the cold really hurts her with her arthritis, she couldn't take riding that bike 4 miles, even though it's an e-bike. Between the cold of the winter and the wind blowing on her, it would eat her up. It's crippling. And America needs to change its infrastructure, its roads. We need to make more bike paths, get people out of cars, get them back outside. And, you know, like for winter cycling, there's a lot of things, you know, that we can do with our infrastructure to fix it so it's not so harsh for people. Like if you had a bike path that was covered by maybe a plastic dome, or something, something that would keep the wind from blowing on you. It might not be so bad, but we need to do better. I mean, yeah, it'd be great if we were all acclimated to our environment, if we could all go out there and withstand temperatures, at 0 and -5 and ride bicycles, but it makes it very difficult. Maybe we need to improve clothing. Maybe we need to work on that more, but every time they improve clothing for winter, they want to put little pieces of wire in it and have it battery operated with a rechargeable battery. And I'm all for rechargeable batteries. Don't get me wrong, I am. But they've got to be made of something that, when it's at the end of its serviceable life, can be recycled 100%. We need to do better. As a nation, as a people, as humanity, we need to fucking do better, man. It's becoming a big problem. And it's going to catch up with us, and it's going to bite us in the ass. But what I'm really worried about is not me. I mean, I'm already 52 years old. The average life for an adult male in the United States, I think, is like 78. So I've already lived more than half a human life. What I'm worried about is my kids, their kids. And if you don't have any kids, you might be sitting there saying, well, I don't give a fuck. I ain't got no kids. Well, do you have, nieces, nephews? Would you go up to them and say, hey, you know what? I don't give a fuck about you. I'm going to fuck this world up, and I'm going to leave you in a cesspool of shit, and you fucking deal with it. Would you do that? I couldn't do that. I feel bad enough for what we've done as a civilization already. But I just wanted to have a conversation about, how I feel about all this, battery technology and bikes going into scrap yards, and I don't know, sometimes you just got to get that shit off your mind and share it with other people and get their opinion on it, because I would really like that. I'd like to see some comments about how you feel about it. And tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if you know something I don't know. I don't know everything. Just because I've lived over half a human life does not mean I know everything. Not even close. So let's have a conversation. I hope to hear from y'all, and hope we have some good comments and some good information coming in. Unfortunately, I don't have any bicycle videos for you other than the picture of the old track I'm working on back here. And I got that at Goodwill for $2. I saved it. Someone there might have saw it and said, "Oh, $2, but I can take it to the scrapyard and get $6 for it. That's $4 gain." And they might have taken it there and just given it to the scrapyard, for that $4. Oh, hell no. It's going to be a beautiful bike when I'm done, and it's going to serve someone very well. So this is Cargo Bike Life. I'm signing out. I hope y'all have a good day and ride safe. And I hope we talk again soon.